provides a necessary level of supports for our present student
Inform you,
population.
sir, your decision is a terrible
I didn't sign
mistake.
up, but I've been invited, so how did that happen?
And Antifa, everyone deserves to care about this issue and have that voice.
Resolved and/or displaced. Our staff oppose this action. We believe there will be harmful effects to our students for several reasons. For the students of Pioneer, our special school was determined to be the least restrictive environment, or LRE. The words restrictive and least run into a dilemma when what is typically considered less restrictive, the general education setting, proves to be actually more restrictive for a student with severe behaviors. LRE is predominantly impacted by our students' inability to maintain safety for themselves, which in turn impacts the safety of staff and students around them. Most of our students come to our setting with emotional trauma, which can present as severe external or internal behaviors. In these moments, our students are extremely vulnerable. When they are treated, viewed, witnessed insensitively by other staff or peers, this leads to re-traumatization. This can have a vicarious effect on the observer as well. Pioneer Special School provides a necessary level of supports for our present student population. Many of our students are disenfranchised by living in poverty, sexual, physical, or psychological abuse, self-harm, emotional disturbances, mental health challenges, suicide, attempts, ideation in the act itself, lack of safe community, being in foster care, being homeless, or lack of stable home environment, and increased access to substance or substance abuse, the dangers of running away, dysfunctional family systems, the stigma of failed educational and social successes, an inability to maintain healthy relationships and engage in peer friendships. Staff and Pioneer have created an environment that acts as a balm to soothe the emotional wounds created by the above. Our school acts as a surrogate family for many of our students, offering safety, stability, reliability, predictability, consistency, and respect. Some of the ways we support our students are monthly school-wide award assemblies, yearly activities like Thanksgiving feast, back-to-school carnival and barbecue, art night, talent night, field day, and our school graduation ceremony. These traditions provide a focused celebration of our students and their skills. Our setting provides spaces for our kids to de-escalate in private when needed, to be restrained until they demonstrate a safe body without judgment, to have access to sensory spaces and access to confidential spaces to discuss mental health concerns. Solving a vexing inequity dilemma by creating another vexing inequity dilemma is short-sighted, to say the least.
My name is Atticus Wysong Crane, ATTICUS WYSONG CRANE. Dear Superintendent Guadalupe Guerrero, I am writing to inform you of my strong opposition to your recent decisions regarding the Pioneer program. It's my understanding that you have recently decided to break up the Pioneer School program, separating us into separate schools. I must inform you, sir, your decision is a terrible mistake and is regarded as such by almost every student, teacher, and support staff member at our school. The Pioneer program is an absolute necessity for many young students. What we learn here is essential and cannot be provided anywhere else. Furthermore, the middle schoolers who will be most affected by this change are in need of this program more than any else. They develop skills they can't get anywhere else, and they create a routine here which will serve them the rest of their life. This decision also comes off not as an endeavor to improve student education as you claim, but as an intent to oust children with special needs out of school. They need to succeed academically in favor of the most privileged and those who are already academically successful.
Good evening, folks. I will have her start off with the comments, but I also have a guest that will be joining me for my testimony, co-testimony, if that's all right with you guys.
It's actually not allowed. I mean,
Really?
Our protocols of whoever signs up, you're signing up to
Well, I didn't sign up, but I've been invited, so how did that happen?
Pardon?
I didn't sign up, but I've been invited, so how did that happen? That's a lie. Anyways, I would just like something to come up. It's no big deal. It won't cause too much trouble, right? It'll be quick. The longer we talk,
We
we're doing
would
this.
ask that you respect the rules of public comment because other people don't have an opportunity if you're using.
Well, I
the
know, I
time.
understand that.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead with your comments?
I'll have you start off.
All right, sounds great. Rebecca Dake, last name spelled D-A-K-E. Good evening, Board of Directors. I am here, in short, to propose a middle school independent study program. I know this might seem like a small problem given the big problems of a lot of the people behind me, but I feel it's important that I address it. This idea for an independent study program is to help address the lack of challenging academic rigor across the Portland Public School middle schools. I am here on behalf of the average student. While I could spend my entire 3 minutes talking about what I mean by a lack of academic rigor, instead I would like to refer you to last month's meeting with the 8th grade student talking about her experience at her middle school. Her experience is not unique. It's not. So what to do? With teachers facing such a range of students who struggle to read and students who are reading at an advanced level, how can even your best teacher address this range? I know that there's a TAG program, but to be honest, there is no TAG program. At least not at Alameda, not at Beaumont. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't. So imagine an independent study program. You've got it in high school. Could it possibly exist in middle school? Can we try? I'm here to provide a possible solution. We've implemented an independent study program for my daughter out of desperation because her education is completely stagnated. That's not acceptable. So let's find a solution. I'm hoping to work with the district on this. But imagine an independent study program where we use online resources. If it's good enough for MIT and Harvard, it's good enough for the Portland Public School District.
Amen to that.
There are resources out there. You have a lot of problems to solve, and you need to do it efficiently and cost effectively. You need to do more with less. So how can you do that? Perhaps an independent study program using online resources is a possible solution. Imagine an independent study teacher at each middle school, right? They don't spend time lecturing. Instead, they spend time assessing writing programs, right? Students submit their writing, they get assessed online. Perhaps a teacher can do hundreds of students with this assessment because they're not teaching. They're not in the classroom lecturing. Instead, that's being done online. It happens at some of the best schools around the world. We've got to start to innovate. We've got to look at some solutions here because you have too many students leaving. I have 2 more students to get through Beaumont Middle School, and they will not attend that school if it doesn't change. So at a minimum, I hope for your support, but ideally I'd like for your help. I'd like to have some contact with your curriculum development team, sit down and try to brainstorm. I've got a team of parents at Beaumont and Alameda who are interested in trying to provide this as a program across middle schools. If you don't innovate, those 2 middle schools, which I commend you for opening, they're gonna fail. They're gonna fail if you don't do something different. You've got to do something different. And so I hope that you'll contact me. Like I said, I'm moving ahead because it's the only way I can figure out how to keep my kids at middle school. Thank you.
Please, go ahead.
Oh, I just was, whoa. You guys have millions of dollars. I sat in the budget committee. We can't fix the mics? Wow, awkward. Anyways, my name is Patrick Stufel. Some of you may know me. Hey, Rita, how's it going? Who else do I know here? Hey, Scott, you might not remember me, but anyways, I'm kind of a district insider, actually. My name is Patrick Stufel. I'm the former student body president of Portland Community College, former legislative intern for Rep. Kenny Geiger, former Multnomah Youth Committee. I could rattle on all day, but like the long story short is Pioneer was actually a program I was at for a small bit of time when I was in middle school because I was a bit of a truth teller and a hellion, and I didn't really appreciate teachers, saying things that weren't necessarily factually true. I was kind of a history buff and a political buff at a young age. So anyhow, I'm a bit of a district insider for the folks who don't know me. And so I know there's a lot of historical oppression of alternative education funding in Portland, Oregon. Anyhow, I've worked in politics ever since graduating high school. My story is a weird story. Usually students who are from Pioneer, I know a lot of you guys would think that they're, what was the phrase, a dumping ground? But kids do actually succeed if you believe in them. So anyhow, like ever since graduation, I got politically involved, and well, you guys put my face on the side of buses for ad campaigns, and my life story is actually it's backwards. But my life story has been in the newspaper You guys have actually used me as a token student representative on many committees, but then you want to cut the program that actually gave me an opportunity to meet you guys in the legislature and in these halls and all that. So I really don't appreciate the discontinuity of it, and I don't appreciate that you didn't allow me to bring my invited guest to the front when I myself was an invited guest. So anyhow, long story short, I want to tell you exactly why I'm here tonight. I am now representing an organization called Millennials for Solidarity, and we build bridges through civic engagement, and we bring people together, the far left and the far right, to tackle issues that nobody wants to talk about, because politicians don't want to talk about the issues that really, really hurt communities. So I brought all these wonderful folks here. Let's hear it from you guys. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. But I've also brought Joey Gibson here tonight, because I know that this is not a left or a right issue. This is an issue that the far left and the far right, Joey Gibson and Antifa, everyone deserves to care about this issue and have their voice heard. Now, if you don't want to hear Joey's voice or these good folks' voice, that's fine, but we're not going to allow Portland Public to stomp on alternative education any longer. It's historical oppression, we know about it, and yeah, it's got to stop. And last but not least, I want to make a point. Let me ask a question to the new superintendent, because I was fairly close with Carol.
So your time's up.
I understand.
Can you wrap up?
But I have a
You can
question.
also.
I have a question. Can you respect that? I'm respecting
You can state your question, but he's not going to answer
That's
it.
okay. That's fine. But
Go ahead and state your
I
question.
absolutely respect your time, so respect mine, please. I understand you're probably progressive, and I assume we're all pretty progressive here in Portland. And I just don't understand how everyone's attacking Betsy. Like, I'm not a pro-Trump person or anything necessarily, but like, I don't understand how people are attacking Betsy DeVos for possibly.
Can you just state your
excuse me.
question,
I'm getting there, man. But I don't understand how people are attacking DeVos for targeting people who are the most vulnerable when actually the most progressive superintendent in the nation is the one who's actually attacking the most vulnerable. So maybe we got to have the Department of Ed come in and have a bipartisan conversation of what the solution looks like, because I know there's not enough
Okay,
sped funding.
your
So
time is up.
That's all I had to
Thank you for coming
say.
tonight. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Next, we have Kim Wilson and Gabrielle Mercedes Boulevard.
That was me, but then they called my name.
My name is Gabriela Mercedes Bolivar. Good evening, Superintendent, PBS Board of Education, and Student Rep. We are a Jefferson Cluster family with kids attending our neighborhood schools at Chief Joseph, Ockley, Green, and Jefferson. After years of inequities, we are finally getting glimmers of hope. Middle schools are being restored, efforts to provide culturally responsive, inclusive students practices are being pushed, and student success at Jefferson is to be celebrated. Tonight, I want to share the collaborative efforts of key staff working to support our Ockley Green Middle School community, and specifically our students receiving special education services. We know we still have a lot of work to do, and this work will be ongoing. It is my hope that we can capture meaningful data that is student-centered and continue to invest in our middle school students. This school year, Ms. Terry Singh was brought into Ockley Green as the instructional support principal. She has been transforming our special education services for our students and working to increase inclusive practices that provide greater access to direct instruction in the general education setting. Last year, exclusive practices became the accepted norm, with students often pushed out of gen ed, sitting in isolation, and or segregated from their gen ed peers. We know from PPS data that our students on IEPs have the lowest graduation rate. Terry Singh, together with her 8th grade special education teacher, Ms. Brenda Sheridan, have been working to identify high-risk 8th grade students that are failing at least 2 core subjects. Ms. Singh and Ms. Sheridan created a Saturday school and called to invite each student personally, including my own. For each student identified, they worked with each core teacher to create an academic folder for each student and a list of work to be completed to reach grade level. Ms. Singh is scheduling 1 Saturday school a month through the rest of this school year for identified 8th graders to provide opportunities for individualized direct instruction, to assist students in reaching grade level in core subjects, and to help prepare students for transition into high school. It truly takes a village. This year, Ockley Green has a new addition to our custodial staff, Marvin Francisco. Marvin is a critical addition to our community after sitting with our students when they are escalated and need trusted adult support. Marvin is fluently bilingual and came to Saturday school to support our students. He seamlessly worked to support our Spanish speakers in science, math, and language arts. This is how you start to create an inclusive and welcoming community where every student belongs and is supported to reach their full academic potential. As a community, we ask for culturally relevant, multi-tier systems of support for all students in our middle school as an evidence-based best practice model. We know we have work to do, but these glimmers of hope that are student-centered and the staff supporting them should be recognized. I appreciate Ms. Singh, Ms. Sheridan, and Mr. Francisco for their effort to center our students, their social, emotional, and academic needs. Lastly, I would like to thank Ms. Brenda Fox and Ms. Kathleen Elwood from the PPS Middle School Planning Committee. Our community have been asking for this past year for a listening session to address the challenges we experienced from the beginning of an open and transparent engagement to collaborate on the success of Aqua Green and all middle schools. We also look forward to the hiring of our permanent principal soon. Thank you.
Free thought for free people.